Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Yard Podcast with your hosts, Colin and Braeden Cox. And the first weekend of MLB 2025 season has officially wrapped up as we record here on Monday, March 31st. Almost April, Braeden. Kind of years slowly was dragging on, but kind of picking up a little bit. But yeah, Braeden and I are actually going to give you some of our overreactions. We'll call it Overreaction Monday, even though we're only one series in for most teams into this season. But I think Brent and I do have some hot takes coming right up here. So stay tuned for that. Here in the yard, I just want to say this episode is brought to you by Blue Woods Bakery. I'll drop the link to the website in the description. We've been raving about it. And yeah, go check that out as well. But yeah, Braeden, I know you said you had a lot of thoughts. So do you want to start with anything in particular? I do have one particular quote unquote overreaction that I
Well, let's hear
have,
it.
but like nothing really.
Let's start. We'll start with you. We always
Start
start
with
with you.
mine.
We'll start with you. Yeah.
All right. So my overreaction, Braden, is so we talked about in our NOS preview, and even in our final predictions for like what the standings and playoffs will look like at the end of the season. We both actually did not have the San Diego Padres making the playoffs. But I think after sweeping the Braves, Braden, I think they've kind of proved themselves. And not just sweeping a team, they swept the Braves, who are a solid team. I think they were, you know, right up there with the to as a favorite to win the NL East. But I think the Padres really had a statement win this weekend, and basically did dominated. I don't really know another better word. Dominated the Braves. So I'm kind of back on the Padres train as of right now, and that's kind of my overreaction. I think they're really good, and I think they'll be able to contend with the Dodgers come playoff time, just like they did last year.
Yeah. You said it. They had a really impressive four-game set against a team that we both
Mm-hmm.
considered to be probably top three, if not top two in the NL. I know the whole thing with Pro 4 just came out like within the past 15 minutes or so, how he's suspended for 80 games. So kind of like a doomsday start, I would say, for the Braves. Um, but if we're going to make it more about one or the other, and we're going to talk about the Padres, I think you do have to give them credit because we did not necessarily discount them going into the season, but we were just like, well, you guys didn't really do anything this off season, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you retained, someone like Dylan Cease who was potentially on the trading block, Michael King, same thing. Um, the only name that I can think of that legitimately left, besides prefer is Higashioka, right? So, like as a whole, they didn't have a very loud off season. Um, but they proved it this weekend that they want to contend. Will they be able to keep up this all season? I'm not sure. That's why I said maybe it's a little bit more about the Braves, but who knows? Like the Braves could totally have a regression year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I got to give credit where credit's due. I'm excited to see what the Padres got the next like month, see where they're at. But like I told you last night, and I think I said it previously on In the Yard, is I want to know, like, it's great that they swept the Braves because we look like a good team, but I want to know how they play against the Dodgers, right? Because that's kind of your competition, right?
Mm-hmm.
More likely than not, you're going to have to go through them to get to the World Series, and anything can happen in the playoffs, right? But like at the end of the day, a Braves series, yeah, it matters, but I would be thinking about this series in October if these two teams are facing off. So we'll see.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think they did what they one hit the Braves, who
Last
are a
night,
very
yeah.
good team. They made the Braves look like a little league team
Yeah.
this past weekend. So I'm just like, I don't know. I think they still have really good pitching. Michael King, Dylan Cease, Yu Darvish will be back soon, right? And then for Tatis and Machado off to hot starts as well, and Jackson Merrill's bouncing, carrying
Yeah,
right
just
in from his rookie season. He's having a good start as well. And yeah, I just
462
think
batting average to start the year for
once
Merrill.
what is it?
460,
462. So there
462.
you go. He's riding that rookie season right into his
Yeah.
sophomore year. We kind of see a lot of guys might have sophomore slumps. Um, but yeah, also their bullpen is lights out as well. So I'm really buying. I'm back on the Padres train. Um,
That's fair. I need to
and
see a little bit more.
and yeah, You need to
I
see a
need to
little
see
more.
a
I
little bit
mean,
more. I don't know when that first Dodgers Padres series is, but tune into those games, right? Because if the Dodgers, who largely dismantled the Tigers this weekend, I think we knew going in that that would be a really tough series for the Tigers, especially to start the year. Um, but I want to see, seriously, I just want to see how they compete against the Dodgers because if they can even play around 500 ball with them, I know last year, I forget what the stat was that you pulled up, but I think that they were like 5 for 7 against them, or won five, lost seven against them, or something like that. That needs to be better for
mhm.
me to like believe that they can, take down the Dodgers. Can they make the playoffs after what I saw this weekend? Totally. But I'm not jumping ship and saying like this team can't implode on itself. Yeah, I guess any team can, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick to my pick for now. If they continue the hot start, I'll admit I'm wrong, but not yet.
All right. I'm admitting I'm wrong right now. Maybe an overreaction, but
More
um,
to you.
yeah. All right, let's move away from the Padres. Ben, I know you had some things you wanted to go over. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
what are two overreactions that you may have?
yeah, if we're gonna stick to teams, I mean, I think we'll have to talk a little bit about the Torpedo Bats. I know it's tied to the Yankees, and we're saving that for a separate episode, so I'll save that for now. But
Hmm.
a team that I'm kind of like, okay, is the Red Sox. 1-4. Great start to their season. I know that they had to go to Texas, and now they're in Baltimore. They lost in Baltimore today, but what, Devers had how many strikeouts this weekend? It just, I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more of a hot start from them. Um, and the expectations there. I mean, there's tons of people out there who are picking this team straight up to win the AL, right?
Hmm.
They're not playing like that right now. They're playing like the last seed in the AL. And I know it's early, but you know, this is why it's an overreaction video, right? I just look at the Red Sox, I'm like, that's not great, to kind of just let the Texas Rangers beat you handily and then fly to
Hmm.
Baltimore. And, I think the final score today was 9-8-5. So I guess they had a little fight, but that would be my pick. Is I was expecting a little bit more from the Red Sox on opening weekend.
Yeah. So they lost 3 out of 4 to the Rangers, right? Now they're in Baltimore. Yeah, Brad, I'm not
Yeah,
overreacting to the Red Sox. Yeah, I mean the news that we heard last week where Devers was officially going to be a full-time DH was kind of, I'm sure
yeah,
that definitely plays into his role now as his struggles a little bit. I think it's a matter of time till he gets back to himself though. Um, but yeah, I mean it's a tough division. They want to play the Rangers, who you said is a very good team. You think they're going to win do you think they're going to win the AL? Um, but yeah, I'm not quite overreacting to the Red Sox just yet. But yeah, you don't want to start 1-4, especially in a division like the AL East.
yeah.
That's pretty solid. So yeah,
There were a lot.
again, we don't want to overreact too much, but just gotta watch out and see if the Red Sox can kind of bounce back from the slow start here. Um,
Yeah, there were a lot of
long
people
season.
saying. Yeah, there were a lot of people saying, "Wow, opening weekend we're getting a potential ALCS series with the Red Sox and the Rangers," and the Rangers kind of handled business. Yeah, it was at
Mhm.
home, but um, I was expecting probably a split there, right? But it felt like, and a huge headline all weekend was Devers and the strikeouts. It never came together, and they lost today. So I don't know, right? It could mean something. It could mean nothing. You know, give it another 2 weeks and see where they're at. Because, like you said, you don't want to dig yourself too big of a hole,
Mhm.
especially in a competitive division like the AL East. So
Yeah.
I would go with the Red Sox as like the team that I'm looking at. I have a few others, but nothing too I guess shocking, I guess you can say. I look at the Pirates 1-3 start in Miami. Like those are, you know, a lot of people are calling Miami like the closest thing to the White Sox that we're going to get to last year. Like they're not going to be good. No one has any hope in them. And for the Pirates to go down there, like you'd hope, like okay, this should we should win 3 out of 4 of these, right? We're better than them. On paper, everyone, all the analytics, all the predictive standings, and all that say that the Pirates are a much better team than the Marlins, but they didn't play like it. Skeens pitched well the day he pitched, but besides that, it wasn't really. I think they had a couple walk-offs. They got walked off a couple times with him around, so that's not great.
I think the Marlins had three walk-offs, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Like
Where
it
they
was
were
like a
competitive
record for
games,
first
and then
four games. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, the reason why I don't look at it too much as an overreaction because I expected a better start from the Pirates, but am I like completely surprised that they just are reverting back to the Pirates that we wish that they weren't? Not really, which sucks, but we'll see. I think they play Tampa this week, so um, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens there with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I think everything else on my end across the board is like, don't want to overreact too much.
Yeah,
But I will say one thing. Are the Brewers bad, Braden? Like we both had them win the NL Central. I feel like we have to bring that up. They weren't just losing, they were getting smoked um by our torpedo driven Yankees. Um and they lost today. What was the score? Like 9-0 to the White Sox?
it
No,
was.
the Twins. Sorry, they lost to
It,
the Royals, right?
they lost the Royals at home 11-1.
11-1 to the Royals. Yeah, Braden, is Milwaukee in trouble? Because we said this before, I think on our NL Central pod with Ethan. I think we said like we predict them to win the divisions because they've been good year in and year out, but we don't. This isn't really characteristic of the Brewers to just be bad on all sides and just not playing well on any facets of the game. Do you have any
Yeah,
thoughts on the Brewers?
yeah. I
I'm just
mean,
surprised. I'm just surprised that they're playing so bad. Um,
yeah. No, I would agree. I think that it's definitely surprising that they're playing bad. And I don't think that it's entirely an overreaction to be concerned about the Brewers because it's not like that they are losing 10-8 and their pitching is just bad and they can't
mm-hmm.
put innings together, something like that. They're getting blown out like consistently. Their only close game was opening day. They lost 4-2. Um, but if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure the Yankees led almost that entire game because Wells had the lead off. So they were up 1-0. So I'm pretty sure that the Yankees led that entire game. Um, and then they got dominated, obviously, on Saturday. I think the final score was 20-9. That was the historic, like, 9 home run
Mm-hmm.
game or something crazy like that. Judge had three. Um, crazy stuff. But, I traditionally wouldn't be too concerned because they are the Brewers and they kind of figure it out. But it's like they're giving up on average like 12 runs a game
Mm-hmm.
and they're scoring like three. Like,
Yeah.
that's not a formula for success in any way. You're not doing anything well at all. You can't pitch and you can't hit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'd have to go back to last year and look like how close like the differential was between the scores at the end of the day for their games. Um, because this is right. Like, were they just surviving last year and winning a lot of like 4-3, 3-2 games? Or like, is this really who they are? Like, if their pitching doesn't put it together, they're just not going to be a good team. And again, it is an overreaction video, so I'm not like beyond concerned because they feel like the team that could go out and if they figure it out, they can go and win the next four. And then we're not even talking about it. And we're like, okay, the Brewers figured it out, right? They just
Right.
had a rough start to the year. But it's the way that they're losing. They're not close games.
No.
They're getting
They had
dominated on
they
all
had
facets of
they
the
had a
game.
position player come in and pitch 2 games in a row. Jake
Yeah.
Bowers. They're trying to have
Former
Jake Bowers
Yankee.
become the next Otani, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just think it's really uncharacteristic for them to lose and then lose like that, where like they're not even competing. The one
Yeah.
game one was pretty competitive. They kept it close, but games 2 and 3 were just awful for them. But
Yeah. And it's funny because that game one, that last inning was, I'm sure you were watching, was very stressful with Devin Williams in the mound. I think the Brewers got the bases loaded with like
mm-hmm.
one out, and we
they
were up
had they
two, and
had
we're
the
like,
go ahead
"Oh
run at the plate
shoot,
at
are,
one point, I think.
are we gonna get walked off, or you know what I mean? Are they gonna hit the go ahead home run or base hit or whatnot?" But they figured it out, and ever since then, it's been nothing but downhill for them. Like that broke them, I guess, because they've given up 11 plus runs in every game since. So we'll see. It's still early. I feel like I trust them to kind of figure it out, though. But next time we have this conversation, will be, we'll probably have a much different tone one way or the other. But yeah,
Um, yeah, Brady, you want to give me one more overreaction from your end, and then we'll get into the like the neutral torpedo bat thing real quick.
yeah. As far as a overreaction, it might, and like I don't want to be boring and just pick the other team that's 0 and 4, but the Twins,
I mean, it doesn't have to be a team. It could be a player.
Cardinals.
It could be a management thing. Could be, and it could be anything. Or do you just want to get
Yeah.
right to the torpedo
Uh,
bats?
I mean, yeah, I mean, we could talk about the torpedo bats, but I'll give the Twins a little bit
Okay.
of a shout out, right? Just
Yeah.
because they played the Cardinals, and I was expecting a little bit more there. I wasn't expecting a sweep by any means. We both had the Cardinals. Well, actually, I don't remember where you put the Cardinals in your
I think I had the
your standings.
Cardinals fourth in
Yeah,
in
I
the
had them
Central.
last, and I had them last. But they took care of the Twins this weekend, and it wasn't. Let me just confirm. Sorry, I'm just looking at the scores here. Yeah, I mean, the Twins just didn't do anything offensively. They scored 6 total runs the entire series, average two a game. That's not going to win you any series playing that like that. Um,
Hmm.
the only game that they really got blown out was Sunday. They lost 9-2, but you know, there's definitely a lack of offensive production there. So, and then they lost 9-0 today, the White Sox.
Hmm.
So, um, you know, if you thought like, oh, it was just a rough
And
series for them to start the year. Then they went to Chicago
right.
overnight and then got shut out to what many consider to be the worst team in baseball. And the worst
Hmm.
team in baseball is now 2-2. So probably already on a better trajectory
Yeah.
than you know what I mean?
Yeah. The White Sox last year was how the Twins like even stayed in the picture for a little while just because they would beat up on them. Now they're losing.
Yeah.
Now they're getting smoked by the White Sox. So now that I think that raises a lot of questions for me. Royce Lewis is out, obviously, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how the Twins could bounce back from this at the
Yeah.
end of the
We'll
day.
see. We'll see.
Yeah,
But I think we can the torpedo bats because that kind of
yeah. It's
became like
it's
not
been
only the
it's
headline
becoming the
for
conversation of the freaking like that's what annoys me about like they always try to find something wrong with baseball or the Yankees, like the mainstream media, I mean.
yeah,
Um and they
but it's
just blow
bigger
whatever
than
they
that
blow
at
it out of
this point.
proportion. What?
Yeah, I mean, it's bigger than that at this point. It was the headline of the baseball weekend, but it was like everywhere. It was the headline of like
Yeah,
all sports.
right.
It was kind of nuts the whole torpedo bat thing. But I'll let you give your 2 cents on that before I do.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have much to say about it except for the fact that it's legal. Um, Obviously, like the MLB would be cracking down if it wasn't legal, right? Um, and also at the same time, like I think there's a lot more that goes into hitting than just having a little bit bigger of a barrel, on your bat. Like you look at Aaron Judge, who had 4 homers this past weekend, right? And he doesn't use the torpedo bat. I think and I just also don't like how they're making it like a Yankees thing when there's players around the league doing it. But like I don't know. I don't want to buy into this like drama and overreaction of everything going on. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm kind of just trying to ignore it
Yeah,
because it really to me it's nothing. It's
yeah,
not breaking the rules. Will they maybe change the rules for next year? I could see that being a possibility, but right now, like if it's that much an advantage, why don't these other teams follow suit? And I'm sure it's been rumored around the league that people are doing this not just this year, but probably last year in this offseason. So if other teams wanted to, they could have picked up on it. But of course, the mainstream media wants to, you know, call out the Yankees as the evil empire who are cheating with these bats. But I'm trying not to buy into it and just stay out and
yeah,
not give too much thought into it and just let it go kind of thing.
yeah. To me, the people that are like legitimately like in uproar over this are the casual baseball fans, the guys who don't like sit here and watch it. At least try to watch 162 games season of their favorite team. Um, it's it's just kind of silly because it's legal, right? It's not like there's like a loophole in the rule book that says like that, or there's no discussion of it in the rule book. So the Yankees are
Mm-hmm.
like, well, you didn't say anything about it. Like each bat is screened, or at least the provider of the bat or the maker of the bat, like Louisville Slugger, whatever it may be, like they have to go through a screening process for all these bats. So no bats touch the field. This isn't like Deflategate, where balls ended up on the field that, were likely inflated or deflated, whatever you want to say, for a competitive advantage. This isn't like that, right? Because each bat that gets onto the field is screened first. So there's no way that a
Hmm.
illegal bat would enter the batter box ever. It just wouldn't happen. Um,
Unless
you know,
you get a guy like Sammy Sosa who's like corking their bat.
yeah, but I'm
But
saying at
I feel
least
like we're moved on from that.
in 2025,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That kind of stuff's not really going on. Um, I think this really is two things, right? One, like you said, it's the Yankees. If any other team was had four plus batters, what is it? It's Volpe, it's Jazz, it's Goldie, and who's the other guy that's doing it? Wells. Um, I forget, but that's besides the point, right? If any other team was doing this to this degree, I guess you could say, it wouldn't be the talk it was, right? People would be like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, we might not like it, but whatever. For one, it's the Yankees, right? So they're going to use them as you know, the villain in any chance they get. And two, it's the way in which they won these games. They largely kicked the Brewers' ass this weekend, right? Like plain and simple. Like they scored 20 runs one game and then they scored 15 the other,
Hmm.
right? So casual fans are going to look at that and be like, well, it's got to be because of the bat. It has to be. There's no other explanation. It can't be that the Brewers pitching staff is bad. It can't be that the Yankees are just good when the Yankees hit the most home runs of all teams last year. It can't be because of that. It has to be because of the bat.
Hmm.
Um, if the Yankees don't explode for, 35 runs in those 2 days, no one's going to talk about this. You know what I mean? If they were to win those games like 7-3, 8-2, something like that, people would be talking about it, but they wouldn't be making as much of a big deal of it. It's because the the way that they beat the team in the convincing fashion, um, that it was. And I don't know. To me, like Lindor's using it. Like there's plenty of dudes who are using this. The Twins are using it. It's just because it was first recognized that the Yankees were doing it because the Yankees had the first game on Saturday, and it was
Hmm.
said in the broadcast that the bats looked a little funky. And then you know all hell broke loose basically. So I don't know. I hate to be like, don't hate the player or the team in this case, hate the game. Um, it's legal. It's legal. But like anyone can do it, right? Like I don't know why we've got fans of other teams, not to call anybody out, but they're like, oh, ban the guy, right? You know who you are. You know who said it. Ban the guy. Dave Portnoy, I think, was one person who was going off about it. Like, what do you mean ban the bats, right? Your team can do it too. Right? Devers
Yeah.
could have used a torpedo bat this week, and he was awful, right? You know what I mean? If Volpe is more, inclined, susceptible to like somebody to make a pitch when he swings at it, and it's illegal for the Yankees to make a custom bat for him that basically puts the weight of the bat closer to the hands, why wouldn't everybody want to do that,
Right.
right? You know what I mean? Like if it was in the rule book that they couldn't do it and they were doing it, you and I wouldn't be, and as Yankee fans, we wouldn't be sitting here like, oh, well, it doesn't matter if it's in the rule book. Like, it's fine. It's not making that big of a difference. Like, no, if we thought that it was against the rules and they were just doing it, we would be against it, of course, right? But if it's in the rule book and it's legal, do it. Why aren't the Pirates doing it? Why aren't the Twins doing it? I guess the Twins are doing it, but why aren't the Giants doing it? Why aren't all these teams
Hmm.
doing it? And I looked into it a little bit, and it looked like that a few people last year were, doing it too. It was just not as widespread. Um, but at the end of the day, the Yankees led the league in home runs last year, and at least to my knowledge, there was no torpedo bat stuff going on.
Hmm.
So, you know what I mean? It's not like the Yankees were bad and then introduced this torpedo bat and now they're suddenly the best team in baseball. It's, they're just they're taking advantage of what the rule book allows them to do. And every team should do it, right?
Hmm.
If they want to have a conversation about getting rid of it next year, fine, right? But don't go crying because your team didn't think of it. Take advantage of it, right? Is that not fair?
Yeah, I mean, I
I,
agree
I
with
would
you.
want the if the Yankees are
I just
doing it, I
didn't.
would want the Red Sox to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if it's legal, there's nothing wrong about it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, yeah.
And people would just
And
try to
that's
make
it.
it, like I said, people would just try to make it a big deal because it was the Yankees. Aaron Judge had
And
11 of those 35 RBIs, and he doesn't even use a torpedo bat.
yeah,
So like,
granted, it is Aaron Judge, but
right?
um,
But that's what
yeah,
I mean. That like, there's only a couple of
it's
guys.
just
I'm sure at this point it's probably going to be more people testing it out. But if it's in the rule book, to me,
it's just a lot of casual fan
it's fine.
chatter,
Yeah.
Colin. It's to me, it really is like no one, no one's watching the game and like assessing it that way. It's
Yeah.
just they go in wanting to hit the Yankees, and then they find something, and then they eat it up.
Hmm.
So, I don't know. Any person out there, any team that's opposed to this, I see a lot of pitchers mad about it. I'm like, bro, your team should be doing it too. Don't be mad at the Yankees for like making it public knowledge.
Hmm.
So I know that's a lot, and I said that I didn't really have a lot to say on it, but
You went
I'm
a little
just getting
rant
my
there.
frustration. Yeah, I'm just getting my frustration out because I'm like, this is so insane to me. And people will be
Yeah.
like, oh, well, if you were a fan of any other team and you saw it, you'd be like, oh, well, that's not cool then. I'd be like, maybe initially, but then when I found out that it was legal, I'd be like, okay,
Right.
well, go blame Rob Manfred. Like, go talk
Yeah.
to him if you got a problem with it. Don't
Hmm.
talk to me. Don't talk to the Yankees about it. Talk to him because he's the
Yeah.
one who, or the the
I
Players
saw.
Association or whatever it may be. But
Yeah, I saw Jazz posted something about it today too. Basically, like admitting, yeah, we're using bigger bats, but it's legal. Read the rule book. That's basically what it was.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so well, look
And
at
what's gonna
Jazz's
happen
tweet from
is,
today if you're that mad about it.
yeah, and
If you want to get more mad,
I would say probably by next weekend, maybe a little bit longer, you're gonna see it widespread across the league, and then people are still gonna talk about it because it's gonna be like, well, it's the only way to do it to compete with the big bad Yankees. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
But
it's gonna be all the Yankees' fault at the end of the day. But
yep,
yeah, that's all I gotta say. I think I'm all
that's all I
set
got.
here.
We'll focus more on the Yankees and their performance over the first, what, two, three
Yeah,
series of the year, in a
yeah,
future episode. But that's
yeah.
all I got
Obviously,
on
the
the torpedo
Yankees
bets.
Yankees took care of business this weekend, but we're not. We're going to stay level headed for now.
Yeah,
We'll see how they do against
absolutely.
the D-backs coming up here, but yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. That's our quick MLB overreaction from this past weekend. Obviously, long season ahead of us here, but yeah, stay with us, stay tuned. We'll be giving probably weekly episodes around what's going on in the league. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Hey guys.
See you.